Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Video Gamer UK podcast. We're coming at you live from the sunny shores of LA. As you can see, we're not really, it's not
we
true.
could have pretended we were.
I was going to, but then you both chuckled. I'm joined by Mr. Tom Ori on my left,
Hello.
Mr. Brett Phipps on my right,
Hello.
and Jim Trinker, who's just off to the side doing technical stuff. Jim, are you coming in to join, or are you staying over there?
No, don't want anything to do with this.
Okay, well, the mysterious laptop that you can just see in frame at the moment will be the laptop that Jim will grab momentarily. And you can ask him, or ask whatever you want to do, questions about E3, whatever you want, really, and we'll answer them. I mean, we're going to chat about E3, I suggest, because now what else? We could chat about something else, but I don't think anybody else cares. So what's thoughts so far? Who won the conference war? There you go, we'll start there.
Microsoft.
That's interesting. Brett, go on.
Yeah, I probably agree.
Really? I thought Microsoft felt a little bit... It was good, but it wasn't like... What was the super bada bing bom boom that thing got you going?
If they'd have announced a game called Bada Bing Bom Boom, I definitely would have.
It's my game. It's coming out next summer.
They had real games that were coming relatively soon.
Bethesda won it, mate.
Shut up, Jim. Bethesda had a good... Like, on the Sunday, Bethesda did, like, they had 3 good, big announcements in terms of games, didn't they?
What did what's the thing from Microsoft's deal that got you
like
pumped?
I was saying, I had a big document all this a minute ago, but I couldn't print it off. But anyway, Microsoft had backwards compatibility with 360, which I know some people don't care, Jim, but that is a if I can just... Well, I think the way it's going to work is when it's rolled out to everybody, you literally go to your download list in the Xbox One, and anything you've got in your library from your 360 will just be there to download.
Well, I downloaded Meat Boy the other day. That is like in your game section.
Downloaded some Meat Boy.
There. Some Meat Boy. Just insert some
but
Meat
that's
Boy.
not really...
That is a thing that I think I would have... Had that been on the Xbox One at launch, I'd have bought an Xbox One sooner because I could have just had all my games already on Xbox One.
That's true.
And I think it's for people that haven't upgraded yet, it is a relatively big deal.
Well, that's true. I mean, I think it's a nice announcement, but I mean, Gears of War was there. That, to me, was their big super-duper game. And I love Gears of War, so that gets me excited. But I feel like they needed 5 Gears of War. I don't mean Gears of War 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I mean, they literally needed games of that ilk to come out. I don't really think they did.
They've got. I think their big thing was that they showed games off that are coming either this year or relatively soon.
I think it was a good conference. I want to make out. I'm sounding negative. I don't mean
so. They've
to.
got, for example, they've got Gears Ultimate Edition this year.
Damn right.
Rare Replay this year. They've got Forza this year. They've got Tomb Raider. They've got Halo.
That's quite a good lineup.
That's a good lineup of games.
They've also held back stuff for Gamescom as well, knowing that Sony won't even.
Quantum Leap, the video game.
Yeah.
I know it's called
At
Quantum
least
Break.
2 people so far have said that we won E3, so...
What, as in VideoGamer?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, someone also told us to shut down the channel, so I guess we're balancing it out there. No, I do think I like the... I mean, I'm not massively... You're quite excited about the Pirate Rare game, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, that's further off,
Just
but
don't like the look of it.
people, the argument people have is, why didn't Rare just make Banjo-Kazooie 3?
Well, no, that would... No,
And the
because
problem is
Nuts and
that-
Bolts died on its arse.
The problem is that, and if they had announced Banjo-Kazooie 3, you'd have had people going, why have they just made another Banjo-Kazooie? Can they not do anything else?
Yeah.
And you've got the Rare Replay collection if you want their older games. And they've announced this new pirate-based sort of MMO, it looks like.
I just don't like the fact it's an
Latest
MMO,
shit. But
persistent world
I
nonsense.
doubt it doesn't... Well, we
not
don't know
intrusive,
much
though.
about it, but I doubt it's going to be an MMO like World of Warcraft.
Not MMO, but it looks like... I don't know, I just don't want... I just rather it was a pirate game. Like a single-player pirate game where you're
Pirates
on a
of the
big
Caribbean.
Caribbean.
I think
yeah,
it's,
but made by Rare,
I think it's too early to know exactly what it's going to be like. But as an idea, like, say you had, like, a crew and you all had your own pirate ship and you go and, like, plunder.
Yeah.
Like that, it just sounds like... And Rare,
Make
it
people
feels
walk
like
the plank.
Rare, a studio that could make that fun. And I think it could be good.
I genuinely think, especially because the price point is so cheap, that the Rare 30-year collection is the better of those 2 announcements. And the game I was talking about on last week's podcast, which no one picked up on it because no one ever listens to us talk about it, is RC Pro-Am. It's official, not really, but RC Pro-Am is back. You can play RC Pro-Am on the Xbox One. I've wanted that for about 20
and
years.
RC Pro-Am 2 as well.
And RC Pro-Am 2. They both have amazing music. But I think, given what's on that disc and how much it costs, that's the better of the 2 Rare announcements.
20 UK
20 quid, and
pounds.
you get what? You get RC Pro-Ams, Battletoads.
Both Battletoads as well.
What else do you get? Shout things out.
You get Cameo, Perfect Dark Zero.
Conker.
That's a little bit of a dump. But Conker, that's good.
Is Banjo-Kazooie on there? Both of them? Banjo-Kazooie as well?
Yeah, both of those. What's the
Really
other
old
one?
stuff.
The other N64 Rare game that was like a dog and a boy and a girl.
What?
Sorry, not that one. But was Grabbed by the Ghoulies on there?
That's on there.
That's on there, yeah. What's the dog with 2...
It's one of the ones
Kids.
that it's like one of the. Blast Corps on there as well.
Blast
I like
Corps.
Blast
That's
Corps.
brilliant.
That's secretly a good game. It's a game nobody played, but it's really good. Okay, anyway, but I think it's a really good collection, and I think, yeah, I mean, for £20, considering that, you get a lot of, it's not really a remaster, you get a lot of these collections coming out at $49.99 or whatever, to come out at $19.99, that's awesome, and it's genuinely, all of those games are pretty much good, not Battletoads.
It's also got a rewind button on it as well, because their old games were really hard, especially the arcade ones, so if you get stuck, you can just, like that Prince of Persia style, just go back just before you die, do it right again, don't worry about constantly going back. Beginning of the game.
Okay, so how do you then compare that to, say, Sony's conference? Because Sony went for a more fanboy perspective, I guess is the way to put it. Obviously, Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy 7 remake. I mean, these are things that people no one actually believe would ever happen.
Sony, there's no question that Sony's conference was exciting. Like before it came on, I was managing the Twitter account for VideoGamer, and I tweeted.
Throw that out there.
If you thought that was very good, by the way, that was all me.
Smashing.
So humble. So humble.
Before it happened, I said, right, I tweeted something along the lines of, so they're going to show off Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy 7 remake, and Last Guardian as a joke, thinking that would never happen. And they announced all three of those games.
I think opening with The Last Guardian is that was really smart on Sony's part. They didn't even muck around with the hyperbole. It was like, this game and here it is. I think that they not missed a trick, but they probably should have given it a month as well, because it's very easy to go 2016. Right.
They've already seen, interviews yesterday. I think they've already come out where they're aiming for 2016.
Oh, really?
Sounds a lot like it might not happen in 2016. That's the problem with most of Sony's conferences, that they've got little coming out this year. Like they've got
that studio.
They've got, in terms of first party stuff, Uncharted Collection, Until Dawn, Tearaway. I'm not sure they've got anything else, and all the rest of the stuff they showed off is either probably
years
late
away.
2016, or then the stuff like
Shenmue's 2017.
Shenmue 3, Final Fantasy 7 are both probably at least 2 years away.
The Shenmue title screen is 2017. He only wants $2 million. He's going to make that and go, oh, wait a minute, now I'm going to get the other $30 million from somewhere.
They've got basically Sony are basically funding a lot of it now. So
yeah.
I think they just use the Kickstarter as like
as a PR stunt, wasn't it? And it works.
It's the same as Castlevania, where the guy who was making it said, look, I've got the money, I just need to prove that there's a
demand for it. Yeah, exactly.
And I said yesterday that Microsoft's conference was very much a case of them trying desperately to get money from an audience, whereas Sony was doing everything they could to keep an audience by spending the money they've already got from them as well.
That's the thing, because PS4 or Sony have the install base, and that keeps continuing to grow.
Exactly.
So if people know that you've got Final Fantasy coming, you've got Shenmue 3 coming, you've got The Last Guardian coming, well, I won't sell it, because it's coming, whereas Microsoft need numbers now. So coming into the end of 2015, they can go, like say, Tomb Raider, Halo, Gears of War's next year, but Gears of War Ultimate will be out by then, the Rare Collection. These are all games that, it's enough. Now that I know Gears of War 4 will be next year, and I am interested enough about Tomb Raider, I will buy an Xbox One. So they have made the necessary investments for me to think, well, I could wait till next holiday season, as they say, but there's no need, because I'll probably buy them now because I'm going to get one anyway to play the games I got this year. And that's what they needed to do. Whereas if you haven't got a PS4 because nothing they've released so far has kind of, got you excited about it, I don't know what is happening from now to the end of the year.
Well, nothing.
Well, no,
I think
exactly.
Sony's advantage is that if you're going to buy any game that isn't exclusive, you buy it on the PS4, because that's the way it is. So all the games like Battlefront, Hitman, anything like Just Cause, anything that was shown off over the last couple of days that isn't exclusive to Xbox, you will get on the PS4, and it doesn't. It kind of makes up for the fact that they've got nothing really first party of any note this year.
The Call of Duty, I think maybe that's where this whole Call of Duty thing comes in, because I don't know what the terms of the deal were. I don't know if Microsoft had first refusal, or it's like the Premier League, and Sony just went, we'll pay you double whatever, Xbox, because that is something.
Or it might have been you have to still be the premier platform in terms of sales. You have to keep outselling the rival.
Maybe it's just because, if you come into the end of the year and you want sales, if people know that their Call of Duty stuff is coming a month first, you probably now will opt for the PS4 one over the Xbox One one. Fucking that console name. Change it, you idiots. Well, don't do it now. It'd be too much marketing problem. But I think that's... that hasn't really been made a huge deal of. Maybe it's not in the grand scheme of things. But I think Microsoft's either letting that go or being outbid, or maybe Activision and... Maybe after the Destiny stuff, Activision and Sony's relationship's just stronger. But Microsoft obviously very confident in what they've got coming out to not at least try and worm that back in.
Microsoft's only way is to push exclusives, I think, because they can't compete in terms of like third-party stuff. They're going to have all the games, but they're not going to be like people that own both, like me, like most of us here. You're not going to get the third-party game on the Xbox because you know it's going to be probably, even if
Better
it's
on
marginal,
PS4,
it'll be better on the PS4.
Yeah.
So Microsoft have to go with the stuff you can't get on PS4, which is why I think they had a fairly strong push for exclusives. And from the sounds of things, Gamescom's going to have even more stuff as well. So
Do you know what I thought sucked? That they showed the opening to Batman during the PS4
that was
conference.
bad, yeah.
That was bollocks, because some people, like me, like to go into that kind of stuff completely untouched. And there was no warning this was the beginning of a game, or it wasn't just your standard trailer. It didn't give you any kind of a shot. They shouldn't have done that. I don't like that stuff. I mean, it's all well and good getting people hyped for Batman, but has that really got anyone else extra? Has anyone sat there and went, oh, wow.
No.
I'm not going to say what happens just in case you didn't watch the Sony conference, but I don't like stuff like that. Or at least warn. Give some voiceover going, ruh, 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 ruh.
They could have just done a montage of fights again. It wouldn't have changed any opinion in terms of what.
It was impactful, but much more impactful if you don't know it's coming.
Yeah.
Before we forget about them, obviously, Nintendo. Now, they announced nothing. Well, they announced Star Fox, which obviously Steve and Dave are on the ground in LA. Steve played Star Fox, go to VideoGamer.com and read it, and said it does not play well at all at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's a worry. You've got a new Zelda multiplayer game, which is not really, for me anyway, enough of a... It doesn't fill the hole left by Zelda Wii U, which is now off in the abyss somewhere. Some bizarre Metroid game. People have been waiting for new Metroid Prime for ages. Nintendo just fucking dropped their pants and went, yeah, you're getting this instead.
Like Metroid Kids, didn't
That's
it?
what I say, yeah, kids.
It's like some weird in the future football game or something. Who wants that? And they obviously did a lot on Mii Maker. What is it? They announced Xenoblade Chronicles X or whatever.
You mean Mario
Maker? Sorry. That's fine. Those kind of announcements, but it's such a you're talking to a very small
they
audience.
weren't new games. Lots of those. Like,
No.
Even Star Fox, was sort of announced last.
Well, I knew it was
E3,
coming.
so
Yeah.
it was inevitable, really, because they've already announced their next system. They haven't shown it, but we know it's coming.
Well, the thing now is we know that is being talked about next year. You are never getting Zelda Wii U, and that is atrocious.
He
They have
just
said it's still happening, but-
in an interview today, Miyamoto said that it is still coming to the Wii
Yeah,
U.
just like Twilight Princess was still
Yeah.
coming to the GameCube. But the whole point is that does steer development all off in
course it
crazy
does.
ways. It's not...
But also, there's no Wii U games coming beyond like the very beginning of next year, so clearly they're going to have to do something very soon in 2016 with
How
the NX.
the hell can The Last Guardian have a more official release date than Zelda Wii U? That is pathetic. Someone needs to answer these questions. I'm looking at you.
Yeah, me.
You turned into Miller Report.
Yeah, I
you
did.
know.
Well, I've been doing it for 48 hours, so now it's kind of stuff. But I mean, the fact that even Iwata comes out and says, "Yeah, we didn't do very well with that conference."
Yeah.
I mean, you must know that Star Fox, games like Star Fox, unless you're showing off a brand new Metroid Prime, but games of that ilk only work in tandem with everything else.
Yeah.
So if they had shown off Zelda and a new F-Zero or something like that, then you kind of think, "Oh, there's all the."
The problem is that I think they're kind of stuck because they can't put a load of development into Wii U games if they've got a new console coming in the near future, because they'll just have similar issues where they'll have a lineup that is lacking for the new console.
Yeah.
It makes sense for them to kind of put out some. They're still, if you look at the actual games coming out, there's a reasonable amount of games, both the 3DS and the Wii U. The problem is there's nothing else apart from what Nintendo makes, so it's that and nothing else.
We do have to mention, no one else here cares probably, but Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, which is secretly the best game that was announced at E3.
Yeah.
Because those run of games, both on the Paper Mario side and the Mario Luigi side, are flawless.
They're really good.
Flawless. I'd like to point out, I just said.
So flawless, they're faultless.
Exactly, it was flawless and faultless.
Yeah.
And that is, to put those two together, I mean, a little part of me thinks they just went, we don't know what to do with either of these two franchises, so we just push them together. But the level of quality has always been really high. So I actually think that could be... Is that this year? There's spring next year, isn't it? That's a shame.
Script's always really good in those games as
That's
well.
the thing, it's really, really funny. So I actually like that. But otherwise, I think you come away feeling a little bit like Nintendo. You're right, are focused. They're not focused on what they have.
It's like
It's just so weird.
if they'd come out with, like, people would have gone like, where's like a Pro Metroid? Where's another Donkey Kong? Where's another Mario game? I mean, there is a Mario game coming this year. It maybe isn't the Mario game you want, but Mario Maker is a Mario game of some sort. But
Right.
they've got to save stuff for the next console.
Yeah. Go on, Jim, hit us with some questions.
I was going to say, are we going to do some questions now, yeah?
If they've got some questions, and then we'll
yeah.
keep talking in between.
Right. There were a load of questions, and now everyone's just talking amongst themselves. People are talking about the NX, the Nintendo NX.
Yeah.
The some people aren't convinced it's the sequel to the Wii U. Some people
We don't know what it is.
Yeah,
I mean, it could
hopefully
be.
People
not.
are convinced that it is.
It could be. It could just be a platform where you can play every Nintendo game ever made. We don't know. I mean, at the moment, you can speculate to your heart's content, but nobody knows.
Imagine it had like 50 cartridge slots.
Yeah, I'll
and
take that.
stuff.
I love cartridges. Bring cartridges back. I'm done with digital and DVDs and Blu-rays.
That is a thing, isn't
Listen
it?
to yourself,
Has someone
man.
done that on Kickstarter?
Yeah, if
Cartridge
you guys
machine.
want to ask questions and stuff, keep them coming
Yeah,
in.
ask questions
We'll,
now, and then Jim will yell them out as they pop
yeah,
up, rather
I'll-
than having to
I'll even interrupt
scroll
people.
through. All right, fine. Well, we go through the other conferences as well. Do it, Jim. Just shout them out as they come
Yeah.
out, and then
I feel
we'll
bad
keep
though
talking.
because I'm not that guy. But,
Well, you got to be that guy right now. We're giving you that power. EA's conference, which, if you look at it as a whole, was dull. Just because
Yeah.
their presentation wasn't very good, but it had a
Did
lot of very
have-
good
It
games.
has the very best moment of all the conferences though, where they
Star
talk,
Wars,
well that, but you had the moment where there was revealed a really delicate indie game, a guy on stage,
Unravel.
really shy about showing
Unravel
off.
looks nice, by the way.
But then he walks off stage, and it's suddenly a big zombie
Oh,
thing,
the worst
superhero
thing
comes
ever.
out on
That's
stage
brilliant.
to Danger Zone. Like
that
the
was
contrast,
like,
that was brilliant.
EA in like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
That was just
exactly.
summed up
Yeah.
everything.
Unravel looked okay, but it will be one of those games where you sit down and play it and go, yeah.
It reminded me of
Cheers,
Limbo.
mate.
It looked like Limbo if you put the lights on, like the way he walks around.
Literally,
Do you know what I mean?
If you flick the lights on in
Exactly.
Limbo, it actually turns out he's a bit of thread or whatever walking
yeah,
around
you
the
just
world.
flick the switch, and that is the
But
game.
it's very 2015 indie game. EA seem to have done they focus tested an indie game
But I think
basically
it's,
and went.
for that to be at EA's conference was, I think, a big deal because you look at the rest of their lineup, like big blockbuster games, and then they just picked one indie game and that was there. It felt strange, but also probably quite amazing for the people making it because it's just not the kind of thing you get that kind of exposure from usually.
Hi, my name is Dan. Asks, how is Jim and Miller's mental state after E3?
Oh, I'm broken. I mean, I'm absolutely
I'm
my
pretty
brain.
broken as well.
If you didn't know, you can go back and watch it all. Jim and I streamed all the conferences in character. Two idiots, basically, a revamp of that. You can go watch them all. But yeah, I'm still not back to reality yet. But I'll be okay. Got to keep fighting through. But yeah, I'm dead. You're dead, right, Jim?
Yes, pretty much.
This
yeah,
weekend
done.
will be sleeping for most of it. I
I
imagine,
ate
for
lots
all
of
us.
fried chicken last night and ruined my diet, but you know what? Don't care. Is Sony purposefully making its game come at the beginning of the year, like as a marketing strategy?
What games?
Well,
what
like
games come
I
together?
think they're saying is that Sony rather than Microsoft have a very heavy end of year. They always seem to have August onwards or September onwards. Even there's everything, whereas Sony have already had this year Bloodborne,
That's
The
true,
Order.
yeah. Okay, so-
They've got Until Dawn coming out relatively soon.
But
Third party's massive
I'm
at the end of
surprised
the
they
year
didn't
as
show
well.
more of Until Dawn. It was just a little clip.
I think it's
wasn't
because
it?
it's so soon.
And
They're
people know
producing
about
it,
it as
yeah.
well. But I think you can't. One day, maybe this will happen. Video game publishers and developers will get into their minds that actually spreading out your games across the year would be better because you can say that Sony are. I don't think Sony would ever give up the end of the year for Microsoft because competition is what you want to want. You want to kind of have those wars, but just because you load up the end of the year, beginning of the year, doesn't mean you can't load up the end of the year. But that's why having Batman, just an example, coming out now is really something else is coming out in the summer next year as well. What the hell is it?
Next
The
year,
Big game.
next year, there's loads of stuff coming out throughout the first half. It sounds like even Microsoft, I think, have got some stuff coming out like Q1, Q2 next year.
Oh, there's a game specifically in the summer though. I can't remember.
I don't think they're giving it up for Microsoft because they have so many third party deals now, like Call of Duty, and they've got like the Batman one. They've got other ones. What they're doing is they're sort of saying, right, we'll let the third parties fight out this year because we've got these deals. To say, right, we'll let you guys breathe on that one because we've got exclusivity. So that money's probably going to be coming to us, to Sony, to PS4, when people buy third party, like the Call of Duties and all that. So let's put our first party stuff where all the money comes to us. Put that in the new year once people have enjoyed their holidays playing like. Fallout's going to be massive. Call of Duty, Battlefront's going to be absolutely huge. So once all those games are done and people spend their money on that, once the new year rolls around, it's like, right, we'll start releasing our games.
That's true. Yeah.
So there's time to breathe.
You mentioned you got any more questions, Jim?
Yeah, Debo stole my bike. Asks, why isn't Aisha Tyler fired? Because she's cool.
She's great on those.
Well, that's kind of like an intrinsic part of Ubisoft's press conference now. If they got rid, because the thing is, now when they get rid of her, nobody will focus on the games. They'll go, "What happened to Aisha Tyler?" So they're locked in now. They're locked in. Also, to be fair to her, she does seem to know games.
She does.
It's
She
actually
does-
nice
she
to see a
does a really
celebrity that knows what
she's
they're talking
She
cracking.
about.
does a good
She
job.
knows
Like
what she's doing.
Ubisoft's conference, like in the past, they've had some pretty terrible hosts, I think.
Yeah.
And now they've got her. It does seem like it works as a something to watch as entertainment.
I do
Nothing
hate, but I do
phases her.
hate it when she goes, "Oh man, I saw this in rehearsal, and my arm literally came off my head and went up my arse." It's like,
Yeah, she
well, that
does
didn't
do a lot
happen,
of
did
that.
it? It's
Yeah,
too
yeah.
much hyperbole
Yeah,
sometimes,
yeah.
but she's actually decent. I wouldn't
Yeah.
get rid of her.
Nothing phases her when like things go wrong or whatever. You
But
see
the
other people.
Ubisoft,
Yeah.
the Ubisoft conference was That bit where the man came on singing. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. They have to do it. But I mean,
it was awful.
They do that every year though. It was like Usher one year, and now
but this
Jason
guy
Derulo.
couldn't sing.
Jason Derulo's never been able to sing.
He's awful.
Granddads. Friend of Video Gamer Tom Bickmore asks, what have Sony got left to show at Gamescom?
They'll have something.
They're not there, are they?
They're not showing anything.
They're not. Well, there's no. They said there's no conference. Doesn't mean they're going to announce anything.
They'll have. There's always things.
There's
always things that we don't know about. That they plan this stuff out. They're very meticulous with it. So they will have things at the Gamescom to surprise and get people talking.
Even if it's not a conference, they'll have like a new trailer for Uncharted or something like that.
Yeah,
exactly. You'll see. I'm sure you'll see updates on their games.
And maybe that's when they announced God of War 4. I know people thought they'd do it at E3, but they're smart with these things. They do think it out, so it could be in development.
I think that's wishful thinking, Miller.
Well, maybe you say that now, then August rolls around. I was like, oh, Miller, he knows his stuff. Where does he get his info from?
Well, you told me, Miller, that there's going to be another Wolfenstein.
Look.
That didn't happen.
Before the end of this year, a new Wolfenstein game will be announced.
Last week it was going to be announced on Sunday.
Surely,
night.
Yeah, but so we take that and we spin it. No one knew the new South Park game was going to be announced. There's always secrets. Secrets hiding under the surface, looking you in the eye.
Speaking of, where was Criterion's racing thing as well?
Oh, that's dead. Come on, that's
surely
gone.
that's gone.
I don't want to just. I want to talk about
the cancelled Burnout project.
Yeah,
exactly.
That jumping out of planes onto cars, into bikes, onto.
I think out of all the things I didn't expect, the new South Park game is the best because the stick of truth, as opposed to what the own creators of the game think, it was awesome.
Yeah.
If they can take that and make it better, then is it next year as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just if that comes out early next year, that'd be fantastic.
The thing is, they say they're working with obviously it's not Obsidian, they're working with Ubisoft. San
Obsidian's still involved though.
Yeah, but they've got the foundation.
I'm not sure they are.
I thought they said they had a few people working on it.
I don't know.
No,
I think they said they're not
San Francisco.
involved at all.
But yeah, they've got the foundation there, and now they're doing it with the superhero.
They may have taken
characters.
some of that dev team over.
I think some of them have gone across. I swear I read that somewhere. There are people of Stick of Truth that are now working on this one that are involved in the old project. Questions, Jim?
Someone keeps asking me specifically what I think of the MGS5 trailer, and he's really asking the wrong guy, as everyone knows.
Have you seen it, Jim?
Yeah.
No, I
It's
haven't.
very long.
Yeah,
6 minutes.
That's why he's
Right,
asking
of
the
course
wrong
it is.
guy.
It's classic.
I assume it's
classic
like
Metal Gear.
lots of cutscenes with dramatic things happening.
But yeah, a lot of people have said that's the best thing from E3. The Metal Gear
it
Solid
ends.
trailer.
Sorry, it ends with it talks with what's the name of the guy who's the new Snake again? What's it? The guy from 24? Kiefer Sutherland. It ends with him talking about that Los Enfants Terribles, which is the clone thing, and it ends. I swear it ends with 2 Liquid Snake clones as well. And
There
that's
you go. Spoilers there for you from Brett Phipps.
It was in the
You
trailer.
didn't want.
David Salvadori asks, how was the PC Gamer conference? Did
Dull.
anyone see it?
Oh, I
didn't
read
watch
about it.
But
was-
apparently it went on forever.
It was long, it was horrendous, it was an interview format.
But nothing came out of it. There was no big
Fuck all
reveal.
got
That's what
announced.
people want.
It was meant to be like, finally PC's getting its own press conference. It's going to be it was total shite. It was an embarrassment.
That's one of the reasons Square Enix's conference suffered as well, because everything they had to show off, people had already seen in other conferences.
Yeah, exactly.
So that takes away from that what they're going to do, because you start to think, wait a minute, I know what all the games are. Although saying that, I don't want to just touch on it and move on. Hitman, now I'm starting to learn more about it. You know, basically like mini missions, extra, all down, digital only. Download kind of new assassins as the year goes on. I think comes out in December, which I like for some bizarre reason. Don't know why they changed Hitman's face, but do whatever you want. I genuinely think that could be because the last Hitman was let's create a world around Agent 47 and give him a personality, give him a story. No, let the story be within what I'm doing in these mini hubs, and give me these awesome ideas and give me because if you do it like that as well, there could be 100 different ways to kill a guy. Because you just have to focus on these mini. It's a bit like Hitman Go. The more I think about it, it's a bit like Hitman Go but done bigger.
Yeah.
So I'm actually very excited about it. I think it could be really, really good. I didn't like Absolution at all, but Blood Money obviously is awesome.
Kevin Kerr has asked, was there anything that wasn't announced or talked about at E3 that we were expecting?
No, I don't think so.
I can't think of anything.
Well, I was just expecting that Criterion game.
Elder
to be
Scrolls
there.
6.
No one was expecting that.
No,
Jim.
you just wanted it, Jim. No one was going to
never
announce
happening.
it. I think you got a pretty concise amount of stuff that we were expecting. I mean, a few things popped up that we didn't know about, but
South Park the biggest surprise for me anyway, just because how much I love the first one.
I don't think. I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe God of War 4, but I didn't actually think I didn't think that was a thing anyway. So if you're looking at sort of franchises you may have thought could have been there but weren't, I would say that.
I did think Sony were going to announce something at the end of the year, but they didn't. So that, I guess, was a disappointment. Like Uncharted is gone from the end of the year, so I thought. I mean, you can't just go, we'll have this now. But I thought they would get something out somehow.
New remaster.
Like, I mean, afterwards they've just said they've got Beyond and Heavy Rain coming out remastered.
When-
Oh yeah, is that this year?
I don't know, I imagine it
No
will
one's
be,
played
but-
Beyond. I play Heavy Rain again though. When is Guerrilla Games' game out? Next year,
Yeah,
right?
I think next year. I'm not sure they
I
dated it
wasn't
at all, but-
massively. I mean, it looked amazing, but what they were actually doing, I was like, don't forget, Killzone looked amazing.
Yeah,
and
that's
Killzone's
the only-
secretly the
yeah.
most boring game ever. My worry is that has come across to this. If I'm just running around after robots constantly,
Yeah.
not. I mean,
as
robot
a-
dinosaurs are cool.
As a demo, it did look cool. Like it did get me interested in the
But
idea
why
of
could?
it.
If only it had been real dinosaurs, I would have much preferred that.
Well,
Yeah,
Turok,
but they look
Yeah,
possible.
oh.
They look like a mixture of like Transformer style stuff and like you remember those dinosaurs that had guns strapped to them, the toys.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Dinosaurs with guns. Make that game.
Yeah.
Let Epic Games make dinosaurs with guns. Epic Games just vanished, haven't they? On that note,
They've got
just working on Unreal.
they've got
Grimrock.
Fortnite, haven't they? That multiplayer
Rigs.
building.
Is it Riggs? Is that
Where's
That's
Gorilla?
not Epic. Though,
Where's
is it?
Oh,
TVP's
Epic,
game
sorry.
as well? That's gone.
Wasn't
Blue
that at the
dust.
PC?
whatever
Was
it's
that not
called.
the PC conference?
Oh, was it there?
I don't know.
Alright,
I assumed
maybe.
it would be, but maybe not.
Any questions, Jim?
I'm trying to again. People are just sort of arguing amongst themselves. Are you disappointed that there was no Kane and Lynch 3?
Well, Burns will have been, but
Yeah.
the Kane and Lynch 3 is never coming back, especially because Eidos is now dead and it's now Square Enix. I can't believe they're going to take IO off Hitman. And so I think it seems there was a lot more freedom at Eidos, whereas Square Enix will go, put your money behind the stuff that, put your time behind the stuff that makes money. So I don't think you'd be seeing a Kane and Lynch
Well, having
3.
said that, Square Enix are making another Nier game,
Yeah, what was that about?
and like Nier is like the last game I thought was going to get another game in that franchise. So-
Square Enix also think they can announce anything with tinkly piano over the top, and it's like a big deal. Like,
The
here's,
RPG
yeah,
Factory.
here's a concept art, but it's
Yeah.
tinkly piano, so be excited about it.
I may have missed it because I was kind of
Falling asleep?
checking out at the time, but
Yeah,
they announced at the end that they're making a new RPG
from a factory.
from a company
Yeah.
that makes RPGs. It's like,
An RPG factory.
I don't see how that was an announcement.
It
But
wasn't.
I love that they just kept zooming in and out on the concept art. Just, oh look, it's almost moving.
But that's
Imagine
what.
Apple did that. Imagine Apple went just one more thing, and it was fucking concept art for a new mouse or something.
But that's the problem that Square Enix had is they felt like they had to announce something.
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
announced artwork.
They even put one more thing in text
Oh, I
on the
know.
slide.
Terrible.
The cultural bomb asks, pretty good question, I think. What game shouts next gen most out of the future releases? I think that,
It's too hard to tell.
even
Yeah,
though
it's
it looks like a bag of shite, that one we were just talking about, Horizon.
visually, that looks
Oh,
amazing.
that looks
Visually
incredible.
Yeah.
incredible.
But the thing is that-
Uncharted looks amazing as well.
But
Yeah, it
Gears
does, yeah.
4, don't forget that Gears' selling point, first and foremost, always look how good it looks. I don't think that necessarily came across in what they showed.
It was
but I
still
bet you-
early, wasn't it? It's
Yeah.
still like over a
It
year
was a bit
away,
dark
so-
though, isn't it, Miller?
But that was the thing. It was that so you struggled to kind of see it. But I bet you when it comes out, more of it comes out. Gears will be.
Yeah.
I think all the games you got Fallout, Gears, the Horizon game.
Racing games will do like Forza will be.
Well, Need for Speed looked nice.
Oh,
I
Need for Speed
thought.
as well,
Need-
yeah.
Actually,
I
Need
didn't like
for-
that cinematic angle though.
No,
Every
the
time you turn,
turning
like,
stuff
camera-
was weird, but in terms
Yeah.
of visual fidelity, I thought Need for Speed looked fucking badass.
Oh, it did,
And
yeah.
Battlefront as well looked awesome.
Oh,
I think we're in that
honestly.
era now where everything going forward,
Well,
as
we
long as
kind
it's
of-
new gen only.
We've dumped last gen, haven't we? I think mostly anyway.
Well, you have to,
just get a
otherwise-
few, like Call of Duty still.
The annual
clinging on, isn't it?
franchises
But
will keep it.
I don't know what games actually did anything other than look nice. Like Rare's Sea of Thieves, whatever it's called, potentially has. It's got
Sea
more.
of
It's not
Thieves.
just it looks nice. It has potentially like bigger
Well,
ideas. but
we were talking earlier about Deus Ex and
Mm.
how the thing seems to be with Deus Ex that it branches all over the place. And that to me is a genuine new gen thing where you actually can ignore the whole you died, game over, go back to your restart point to the point, well, that happened, so now we'll pick this path for you. So
Right.
you don't actually lose the game. And this is something that has been bothering me for ages, especially today for stuff we can't talk about, where this stuff that it sounds awful, but organically the game keeps going. So
It
it's not
adapts to
about
your-
winning or losing anymore. It's about you making choices or your play style then influencing the story. When people start doing that and making it work, then that is genuinely something that would feel different and new. Because all games essentially right now are you lost, start again,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
fine. I'm not saying there's a problem with that, but I would really like it if story and sort of gameplay started to head in that direction.
That's why Until Dawn could be very interesting as well, though, because no matter which characters die, the story will go on. Like
Yeah.
you can end the game with all the people in the game alive. Or
I like that. I
I
think
think
it's
that
interesting.
Until Dawn, in terms of like scope, I imagine is nothing near the level of Deus Ex. In
Oh,
terms
no,
of, like,
no.
The storyline, I imagine, is much more complicated in Deus Ex with
Yeah, yeah.
I hope bigger, larger paths to go down and stuff.
I would
But
like that.
in terms of like what is next gen, like I still think No Man's Sky technically. And like, look at what we can do on next gen.
There's nothing to do in these worlds.
Like when he shows you like all the stuff you can go and see, it looks that sounds cool. But then you see the demo and it's like,
what do I do with it?
You wander around and there's some fish there, and there's a weird monster thing, and then you fly off again.
Yeah. If I invite you round to my fictional mansion and it's massive, but there's nothing in it, you're going to get bored of it well quickly.
Yeah.
If there's a swimming pool in it, you're going to be laughing.
That's
It does
the
have
point.
some fish in the swimming pool.
Exactly.
Hooded Dude asked, what was the game of the show for everyone?
South Park.
Fallout 4.
Game of the show. Can I have a few? I can't just name one because
No, you can have one, and that's the end of
I
it.
will fight you, Jim Trinker, to the death.
You sounded like you don't know the truth.
Gears of War 4 then. I mean, if I can only pick one, it'd be Gears 4. I've been looking forward to that for
What
absolutely
other
ages.
ones,
So.
Oh, Battlefront actually. Oh,
Doom,
Well,
I think Doom looks surprisingly good.
I wanted to talk about Doom because someone sent me a message saying Doom looks right shit.
What?
And then I watched it and thought Doom looked awesome.
I didn't say it looked shit. I was,
No, you didn't say that.
I was disappointed that it was more of a corridor shooter when Doom has been about massive open plan, very colourful, and
What?
this was just a brown.
Doom?
Yeah, the Doom.
Doom is the original corridor shooter.
No, but it had
Please put that in the tagline too.
No, but it had so many different ways you could go. Whereas I mean, corridor in the sense of like we called you always go in one way. Whereas this, like with Doom, you could go so many different ways. You got to find the key cards, get the door, all that. Whereas this one, it was like just constantly going forward.
I think the demo, like particularly the first thing they showed, looked a little bit scripted. But apparently, like people have played it now, and it isn't scripted.
I'm quite excited about
I
it.
like the look
second
of it.
level
looks
more open.
it looks fast. It looks like
It looks
they've
dumb,
added a bit more
which I
like agility to your character. Like you can leap onto stuff and pull yourself up and stuff. It looks fun, and I think maybe
It's like
it's
a
a
mech
bit.
suit
It looks a
Call of
little
Duty
bit
thing.
grim in terms of the color scheme. Like possibly because the original Doom, it had like kind of bright colors, even though it was even though it was hell. It was like bright reds and all this stuff, and
deep blues. And
possibly
stuff.
it looks a little bit dark,
But that's fine. I mean, this was only one level. You may go through the water level or something. I don't know. But I actually
game
think
designer Simon Miller with his inventions.
Damn right.
The water level.
Skull Dagger's coming out next year. I actually I looked at Doom, and initially when I watched the Fallout stuff and the Doom stuff, I was more excited about Doom.
Right.
And I kind of still am from just throw things at my face saying, obviously Fallout 4 would be amazing. What do people think about the Fallout stuff as we've arrived here naturally?
Here we go.
I'm just really excited. I think it looks amazing. I think it looks incredible. I think this will be the best game for the next 20 years.
Yeah, but what do you really think?
Until End Scrolls 6 comes
Jim,
out.
you should host conferences. You'll be right into it.
Jim,
That
it's a
game
new
is going to be the
Tyler.
best game for the next 20 years.
When I saw this game
excited.
rehearsal, my head came off.
When I saw this backstage, I capped me pants.
But this is from the man that got excited about the Elder Scrolls card game.
I didn't get excited about that. What are you on about?
He was trying to include it in one of his videos, and I said, "No, Jim."
Every day he came in. So, what about this Elder Scrolls card game?
I wrote it down when we were putting together the recap videos.
In the highlight.
I wrote it down in Notepad, and Tom was behind me going, "Don't put that in, Jim, you twat."
Just grab the notepad.
I mean, Fallout 4. I think in terms of whatever you want to call it just looked really impressive.
It did.
That was the right way to do a conference. Just open it up and go, right, here you go. Here's what you wanted to see. Enjoy yourself.
Bethesda didn't have. There was no big surprise, was there? But they showed off. I mean, it's a shame Dishonored wasn't shown off because it was we kind of all the games they could announce, that made the most sense as an announcement. But
The Silly Goose has made a really good point about they showed that bit where the robot, the Mr. Handy robot thing.
The help.
All right, in Fallout. I thought you meant in E3.
It says your name in Fallout. I haven't got a Fallout 4 yet, sorry. So it says your character name. They've recorded thousands of different lines
you
of
can have whatever
dialogue
name
for
you
it.
want.
Like most common names.
But somebody pointed out there that that's actually quite upsetting because now you're kind of disinclined to call your character Dickhead or something because that presumably won't be in there, or maybe it will.
Maybe it will be in there.
Imagine.
Maybe
That'd be the
Cop
game.
Chunk. It could be in there. You don't know. But it did look very, very good. And also, you know what Bethesda did right? Kept it short. The conference in general got their games out of the way and went. See you later. There was no arrogance. No, by the way, look at all the stuff we've done. We know that.
What I like to say, let the lead guy talk about his game as well.
Yeah.
Just let him run with it. Is it Todd Howard? Is that his name? Sorry.
Yeah. Todd Howard. Squeaky Boys.
Because he's so passionate and he's really good at talking about his game as well.
I think
Just let him run.
another game that looked impressive was the Ghost Recon game. I know it was classic. It's the Ubisoft end of show.
It's the crude.
It's the end of show reveal. But if that is an open world, like they say, it's open world.
No, but it's Ubisoft though.
But
Yeah.
if it looked amazing. Like some of that
Did
stuff, it did. It looked amazing. It was really.
I
Honestly,
wasn't sold. To me,
some of those clips they showed where, like, in terms of like the different environments and like the scale of it, and the fact that it's not
don't
just
forget the crew.
It's an Ubisoft game, and the map is the same as the crew. And
Well,
there's going to be towers.
I think
and all
Ubisoft
that.
make good games generally. Like as much as they've some of their
Technically
games,
solid, maybe,
some of
but-
their games have not delivered exactly what they promised. But this, from what we saw at the conference, it looked good. That is a game I would look.
But the
forward to
Division
playing.
looked good when they showed it off 3 years ago, and now look at it; it's a completely different
It doesn't
game.
look as exciting anymore.
But that's the thing. That's what they'll do with this as well. It will come out and it won't be. This is what they do every year, and it's why I refuse to buy into it.
But I think they've kind of. I mean, if you look at what they did with Assassins, with the reveal for the latest one, that is a more. They haven't gone. Here's a load of bullshots. That looks like the game.
But that's different because that is coming off the back of a very difficult previous launch. Whereas in terms of if you look at the experiences that you have with Ubisoft announcing games, The Division, no, even Assassin's Creed, we can go back to 2007. This is what the game will be. You play it. This is not what you told me the game was. They have such a long track record that I think the idea of a whole world when you are the military police basically is great. But I just don't think it will work like that. I think you'll get it and it'll just be... you'll jump around the map, but you won't actually just be able to... I don't know how they'll do it, but it won't be like that trailer.
You know, you were saying about, like, what is this gen and what's it been? The big thing about what has been taken away from this is the fact that there's no load screens in games anymore, like that one, like Mirror's Edge. I mean, big to talk about that.
The game is coming out soon that has no load screens.
Yeah, really?
Keep talking.
Yeah, every game that comes out needs a beta as well. And that is... Like, every game that got announced had a beta.
I'm such a non-fan of betas.
Yeah.
Why is playtesting someone's game now become this huge promotional thing that everyone gets behind?
I think it makes sense though. Like it serves two purposes, doesn't it? It gets if you are looking forward to it, you get to play something slightly early, and then the people making it get to test it in a way it's impossible to test otherwise. Like if you look at something like Drive Club, it's a perfect example of a game that if you don't do a beta, stuff like that can happen. If Drive Club had a proper beta, not like a small closed beta, a big public test, they'd have found out all the issues before it launched, and then they'd have probably not been able to solve them straight away, but they'd have known that it was going to be a thing.
True.
Hopefully, it will end.
I don't
It's
see it
become
as
like a marketing tool. That's my problem.
as long as you don't
with
have to pay like
to get
for
it.
the beta.
it will come that look, why wouldn't they do that eventually? Somebody will find a way to monetize it in a way that doesn't sound like they're monetizing it. Well, they kind of already do.
Game items and
Well, you
stuff.
can like buy Gears of War Ultimate Edition, get for the Gears of War 4 beta. Like, that to me is I don't like all that stuff. It
Chris
makes
the
me sad.
Trunks asks, give reasons for why you think FF7 remake will be shit. It's
Well,
funny you mention that.
Yeah, maybe you want to tune into VideoGamerTV on Friday for more stuff like that. Oh no, not shit. Just why it will make you sad inside.
Luke Infinite says, Jim, tell Miller to stop being so cynical. He means tell Miller to stop telling the truth.
I don't think I've been cynical.
You are very cynical, man.
What have I been cynical about?
Everything like
No, I haven't.
that game you like looks rubbish. Because
I haven't
it's
said that
Ubisoft.
once. No. Ubisoft is not cynical. Cynical is just you think, well, Ubisoft have
No, I
let me
agree.
down multiple times in the past. That's
agree
not
that
being
Ubis-
cynical. That is looking at things that have happened to me and
But I
going, I'll
think,
learn
well,
my lesson.
I think it's more about Ubisoft having a formula. Whenever you see a game concept, you've got to remember there will always be structure within that formula. So it's not, like the game does look like a really good idea. Like you go around, it reminds me a bit of Operation Flashpoint. Remember those games where you go around in a crew?
Everyone says about the Ubisoft formula, but I don't play Assassin's Creed and think it feels like Far Cry. They have similarities, but they're not just based on the same
But
template.
the meta game is the same.
Yeah.
But I think if you go on what we have seen that they showed off at the conference of Ghost Recon, it looks like a game that I'd like to play.
Yes, that's fine. But if I
I'm-
then take away my memories of everything they've done over the last 3 years, I'm being that's a silly thing to do
No, but
because
I'd like
their
to
track
believe-
record's bad.
But we're talking about games. Like we're always like games are fun. They're meant to be fun. I'd like to believe that game is going to be the game that they are showing it to be.
You can do
But
that. And then when they slap you down,
maybe it won't be. Maybe it won't be. But it looks at the moment good.
Yeah, talking of games that are going to be fun though, that Just Cause 3 does look bonkers.
Just Cause 3 will be. I mean, I guess it's just that's why I like Avalanche because I don't try and be anyone that they're not.
Yeah.
Even they say in their conference, like, just go blow shit up. We don't care.
I love
it's
that
a big
as well.
wild, go nuts.
It's like you've got to rescue this city wherever you are, this Mediterranean island from a dictator, and one of the side missions is just blow as much shit up in 5 minutes as you can. Like it doesn't, it will reset itself by the time.
It doesn't take itself too seriously. Knows
Yeah.
what its selling points are, and hides its weaknesses, pushes its positives. And I mean, they're not necessarily my favourite games, but they're a laugh and they're fun to
Exactly.
play. It's kind of what Mercenaries always wanted to be. and never could get his head around. Just Cause has kind of taken that and become this. Well, it's the modern day mercenaries, really. It's probably better than those games, though. They weren't.
Well,
Any questions, Jim?
No, they're all just talking amongst themselves again.
Okay. Well,
Has Call of Duty finally died? Asks David Wolf Prime. Of course not.
I thought a few years if it was going to, it would happen. Because it's twofold as well. Because people really like Black Ops. Like it's the only kind of Call of Duty franchise within a franchise now, which I don't think Advanced. Well, Modern Warfare is dead basically. Advanced Warfare's taken that up. You're never seeing another Ghost because that was a misstep.
Yeah.
Whereas Black Ops, people really get invested and excited about the story, the campaigns. So I actually think this one maybe will probably do as well as Advanced Warfare, if not better. But I think Call of Duty now maybe it may be the FIFA. You know, I think it could just find itself going from year to year and never have a problem.
It's a game that, like, looking at like what's at E3. I don't care that it exists at E3. No, it's not a game that I'm going, well, I can't wait to see what they're going to show off at E3.
Yeah.
But, I mean, lots of people probably do think that. But personally, it's just a game that comes out, and then a week before it's out, everyone's like, Call of Duty's out, and we'll buy it. It's just, that's the way it is. I don't get, there's no big excitement. It used to be, what they're going to show Call of Duty. And now it's just, you know it's coming, and you'll probably buy it. But
it's like another sports game. Like, you buy a FIFA, you don't play NBA, you don't play NFL, you'll get one of the same with Call of Duty. You'll just keep.
But that's what the multiplayer has done. I think the multiplayer has become so competitive and so like a sport in the sense where we've updated the maps, we've updated the things you can do. You know, we've updated the player set essentially.
Yeah.
That's why people keep investing in it, and these people do not seem bored in the slightest. So I actually think Call of Duty has years left in it. I'll be wrong now. Now I've said that will die next year, but no, I think Black Ops 3 will do well.
Even if people only play it for like 7 hours a year, they'll do it. You know, they play. Like, I played a campaign, played multiplayer for at most 15 hours a year, and that is just over the whole year. Because when the new one's about to come out, you play the old one for a bit.
Yeah.
But then that's it. You just, you don't. I bought the season pass with Advanced Warfare because I think Advanced Warfare is the best one since the golden years of the game, but. Even then, I couldn't maintain interest for it consistently. It's just one of those things.
No, it's true. Jim, questions?
They're all played silly buggers just now, to be honest.
But they need to ask us some proper questions.
Right.
Rachel Irish says, "Oh, fuck off with this nothing to do in No Man's Sky."
All right.
I think we're not. I don't think we're really saying like there's nothing to do. I think the problem is every time they demo it, you're doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
So every time we've seen a 5-minute slice of gameplay, it's the same.
Yeah.
So
you fly to a planet, look around for a bit, get back in your ship.
Yeah. So I think the worry is that this is a massive game, massive universe, etc., and it does have an end game now. We sort of missed that when he said it, but the end game now is actually to get to the center of the galaxy and whatever, and you trade and whatever. So it's basically an elite clone with a sort of ultimate objective. But the problem is that it seems like in this vast game world there is only 5 minutes worth of gameplay in terms of what you actually do.
Was this the first time they showed off space combat and the fact that your guy has a gun? Because like, he started destroying like the landscape, and then the Sentinels came to say, "Let's stop."
I just think it's not saying not saying there's going to be nothing to do. It's just start showing us what you can do. That's what you need to do. Because if you're there to sell your game, we can only go on what you are selling. At the moment, it is look, we've got this massive world, and then you can blow up some of the trees, and that's just it won't fly. Basically, it's all well and good sort of getting on your high horse about it now and saying, "Oh no." But if that is what it is, then it's a problem. So hypothetically speaking, they need to start selling their game, and every time they show it, it needs to feel like it's progressed more. I would argue that No Man's Sky had the same demo 3 or 4 times, which makes me especially question, well, what is this game? I don't know what it is. What am I going to be doing?
Right, because when people sit down and they play a game, especially story-driven, you'll sit there for an hour, 2 hours, even more perhaps, playing it. Can you imagine sitting there for No Man's Sky for a solid 2 hours? What would you do? What would keep you moving through that world?
Well, that's it. Yeah, you need that dangling carrot, and I don't know whether it's there at the moment. But we don't know. The point is we don't know because they're not showing it to us.
Yeah, I mean, it could very, like you say, it could very well be. Like, I think what might be the dangling carrot, because what he said in that demo was the dangling carrot.
No Man's Sky dangling carrot.
His ship could only get him so far within the galaxy, so maybe he's looking for better parts to upgrade his ship to then explore the galaxy. Maybe
that's kind of a staple of the genre. Like, you start off with a ship that can only go so far, and you upgrade it, you can go further and whatever. We're being asked a lot about. I mean, there's been loads of questions, so I'm not going to name anyone. But we're being asked a lot about what we think of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Can't have an opinion on it really. Like,
I mean, very excited.
It's got a nice name.
Yeah,
I guess that's good.
I don't think it has a nice name. It sounds like the kind of sci-fi TV program Jim would watch.
He probably does watch
Does
it.
have a
and
Star
probably-
Game
Isn't there
version,
something
yeah.
called Andromeda? There is a sci-fi
there
called
is,
Andromeda.
starring Kevin Sorbo of Hercules fame.
I think it's a terrible
it was
name.
terrible. It was absolutely.
Of course it was. I don't think Andromeda's a very good name, but I think Mass Effect is strong enough to.
Well, I'm
to take it
quite
through.
interested, like how all right. So there was a more interesting, more exciting than the trailer they showed was the BioWare blog post that went with it,
All right.
because they went into a little bit of detail about why they made the trailer and well,
What EA
obviously
made
no
us.
more. But they said that like this isn't footage from the game; it is in engine, but it's more of a target. So
Yeah.
the actual game might not look like that. Probably won't.
Yeah. Has to look better than Dragon Age.
But
though.
you know, there's very much a sense that it's a clean slate for the franchise. It's like it's the Mass Effect sort of base game kind of mechanics that you want, and you know all the companion stuff and all the BioWare stuff that people loved about it. But it's a completely new galaxy. It's very tenuous connections to the previous games.
Yeah.
So you know
That's why there's no 4.
Yeah,
They're trying to make
exactly.
out like it's
So
a.
basically, Andromeda is the new saga. And,
Yeah,
you know, you can take or leave the old ones, which is great. I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, at the moment, you know, I love the Mass Effect games. I mean, I'm intrigued to see how I warmed to him without Commander Shepard because I just thought he was such a good character. But you know, yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes. But at the moment, there's not enough really. I couldn't say more than that. I don't think.
No, I think it's going to be really good. I think it's going to be a decent one. Well, is backwards compatibility actually a big deal when everyone already owns a 360?
I think it is in terms of unplugging stuff and
Well, I
plugging
think,
it back
like
in.
for example, I don't have room in where I have my
Yeah.
console to have a I sold my 360 because I don't have room. I never played it. So if my games will then work on Xbox One, great. Particularly as you get like 2 games free a month, don't you? Xbox 360 games, and also stuff like EA Access. Peter Moore hinted that maybe some old EA games will get put onto that.
Yeah.
So you get part of those as your subscription. They're doing a lot of pre-order bonuses. So say if you get Rainbow Six Siege, you get both Vegas games on Xbox 360. So I think it would be it's a nice thing to have. And like Sony's people don't want it argument, I think is a bit
Is that what they said?
essentially. I
They
think
said it's a nice idea, but not what we're going for.
But the thing is, you can say people don't want it, but I bet they like to have it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
the options there.
The fact that I can now play, if I buy an Xbox One, I know my 360 library is instantly compatible, is a nice tick box on my imaginary checklist.
when they
digital
add those
games.
games to the library anyway.
Well, you know what I mean?
But
though,
yeah,
it's
I think
a-
it sounds like they're going to be rolling out a lot quite quickly because
Well, they put the onus on the developers. They say, "Well, you're the ones who've got to give permission.
Yeah.
Like, we're the good guys here. So if you say no, then you know the fan base can go after you and say, well, why aren't you giving us permission to put it on
something
here?"
quickly we haven't talked about at all is that Recall game from
from
on
Inafune.
Xbox One,
Yeah.
Which one was that?
it was the game
The
where the
dog
girl had the
robot.
dog,
Where the dog sacrificed itself, the blue orb.
and it
thing.
sounds like
I don't remember that at
it's,
all.
It's a
They might
new,
go and make
it's a
Mega
new
Man.
exclusive Xbox,
Oh, yeah, I remember, yeah.
Xbox IP, and it's by Inafune, and it's the studio after Metroid Prime 3 finished. Some of the people from that left to form their own studio.
Right.
So that was some people from Retro. They're making it with is it Concept, I think they're called.
Yeah.
Um,
Armature and concepts. Yeah.
and we don't really know what it is, but
No.
it's a new IP. It's got some good people involved.
My only worry is, remember when they last did this on the Xbox 360? Do you remember what came out of it? That Japanese RPG, the Blue Dragon.
Blue Dragon.
And Blue Dragon.
yeah.
Oh my god! I played that game for like 50 hours, convinced it would eventually get good. It never did.
Oh, God.
It was so dull. It was so dull.
You have some conviction to stick
well,
around. with it.
I was reviewing it, but still, and I was convinced it would. It's in here somewhere, and it never really came. I'm not down on it at all, but I just, you know, I'm neither happy nor sad about it.
I think
need more.
hopefully they show off something at Gamescom because it's meant to be out, I think, spring next year, so it's not miles off.
Had a Pixar feel to it, the way that like the humanization of the robot characters and the way that she just like that dog that was there, she sacrificed itself against whatever those bugs were, and then she put that energy orb into another
I
robot.
mean, hopefully
straight
it has
away.
a Metroid element to it because they mentioned that it was from the makers of Metroid or whatever they said on the trailer.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say that, it seems to make sense that it might have some kind of systems from those games, but who knows?
I thought we would have seen WWE or NBA there because NBA always looks great every year as well. But those maybe they're more to come at Gamescom, or they were just there's nothing on. any
Probably
other
nothing to
stage,
show. I remember last year's E3 didn't have anything to show, just concept art. So I think they're just waiting to Gamescom until they roll out the stuff.
NBA's got the engine, so just like you get just a roster refresh and just put it back out again with minor tweaks. But it's always nice to look at because it's a great looking game.
Just to go back to Fallout 4 for a second, mods support on Xbox.
Yeah.
It's quite a big
deal.
announcement.
And apparently
PS4.
it is coming to PS4 eventually as
And
well.
PS4,
Yeah, well, I think I was like, there's no way that's going to be on one but not the other.
Yeah.
But you have to wonder, like a lot of the mods that come out, and not even necessarily the graphics mods. A lot of the mods that come out add lots of stuff and like really kill the performance. Even
There's
on
bound to be
Really?
there's bound to be
PCs,
limitations to it that we haven't been told about. Like
Uh,
you're not
yeah.
going to get these mods that change the look of the game completely. They're just not going to be on, I imagine. So
presumably there'll be some. There will be like strict definitions as to what you can and can't do.
you may well have to like get them approved by
Yeah.
Bethesda or something, and then once they're officially sanctioned, you can then download them, that kind of thing. We have no idea because they haven't said, I don't think, but I doubt it'd just be I've made a mod, I give it to my mate, and instantly play it.
Yeah.
But
They're probably like that was another thing that was nice as well in the Doom thing. That level creator for the multiplayer stuff as well. That they seem to be giving a lot of tools to console players now as well, and the fact that
I like that though. You thought that would happen a long time ago.
That was the last thing Carmack worked on before he left.
was it
With
really
the level creator.
Yeah.
Then he went, I'm done. I'm out. I'm going to work my
just
headset.
drop the mouse and just.
Anyone
steps out
excited
the room.
about virtual reality? No, there was a big focus
We
on
had a
it.
couple of questions on it ages ago. There was
It's
like
so-
two people, and one person was going, "I don't give a shit about VR." And
Yeah.
the next person went,
It's an interesting gimmick, but
Horror
it still
games
feels.
is what I'm really interested. I want to watch this man play a horror game with VR and HoloLens.
You play it. Why have I got to play it? You do
You're
it.
wearing the headset.
I think HoloLens, to me, seems like, even though I don't think either of them are going to become massive, HoloLens feels like something I might use if it became a thing.
Imagine you had like a map up in a game, it's just off the
for-
side of
like,
your screen.
The way
or
they
something.
talked about it, it makes sense as a thing I would play.
Yeah.
all the
and-
HUD taken away from the TV.
Yeah, and like you can have extra stuff, like all the processing is done inside HoloLens, so it doesn't take anything away from whatever you're doing on the Xbox, whatever.
Yeah.
So, for example, you were playing, like you said, you were playing a big RPG. You could have a map on the wall.
I just like the
you could
idea
have
of
like
that,
your
yeah.
inventory on the side.
Yeah.
And it just taking what you've got, but it's expanding on it. A bit like what I think people thought was going to happen with Kinect, where
Yeah.
you could use it to add stuff rather than just control games badly. Like it feels like that might work. Whereas VR, like if someone came and gave it here, it's a VR unit, I'd be happy to play it. I'm sure it'd be great, but I don't think it's going to be something that I would buy or see getting tons of support. Like you look at the presence VR had at Sony's conference, and I thought it was going to be like one of their big
Yeah, I
things.
did. I think they let drop the ball a
And
bit.
it felt like a lot like the stuff that's coming out. I mean, there's a few games that look kind of cool, but it feels a lot like what we got with Kinect and Move and all these things, where the games coming for those are not the games that you think they're not big. They're not big titles. I'm sure Sony will have something at some point that goes, yeah, this is like a big game for VR.
Yeah.
But it's not like we're not getting Uncharted for VR.
It doesn't feel like the investment is big enough from publishers. Like the biggest game we saw was Minecraft for HoloLens, whereas I thought if they're taking it seriously and looking like, right, this is the future of games,
Yeah.
you don't announce gimmicks. And everything we've heard, like Capcom announced this game called Kitchen or whatever it was.
Well, that's like a
It's a tech demo.
tech demo,
That's
yeah.
what I mean. It's all gimmicks
That
and
Shark game as
and
well.
small things. If these things are actually on the cusp of coming out and they don't, you would never release an Xbox One without a big game attached to
No,
it. You'd never release a PS4 without a big game attached to it. So I think these companies are looking at things like a gimmick, an extra, a novelty. And when you do that, you get the Move controller, you get Kinect. You know, I would have much rather if someone really got behind it, gone right. But I think things like Kinect and Move have scared people off now. They're like,
Yeah,
well,
because everything's got to be bespoke as well. It's a lot of investment.
it's not like they were massively successful with those things, and you know, doing it again may be bad. But I'm still intrigued by VR. I still would like it to be treated with more authority, I guess. But I don't think it's going to happen now. It'll always be this kind of
There's too
maybe.
many, there's too many hands in it now. There's too many VR headsets. Like everyone's got one now.
Well, everyone needs to have one though, otherwise you're not in the market. So I think you have to attach yourself to one.
problem is that
VR barrier to entry
it
is
kind
too
of
high.
splinters the market too much, doesn't it? It's like
That's true.
it's like you. How do you like one of them? Starbreeze have made one or making one that has a bigger field of view. It's meant to be more immersive or whatever. It's like the IMAX of the. They think they IMAX of
Chris
the VR
Nolan will
world.
make something for it straight
But
away.
it's like that. There's so many, particularly on PC. Like you've got the Valve one, you've got the Oculus, you've got
which
the
you'll need a
Starbreeze
Titan to
one,
run.
and like PC on PCs, you are going to need a monster machine to get the most out of it anyway. I just think it's cool, and I'm sure when we get like all these the final products and the games for it, they'll be like impressive, and you'll be like, "Whoa, you gotta go and play that." But they're going to be expensive, and you're not going to be getting, at least for a while, like Call of Duty is not VR.
Yeah,
you're not going to get FIFA VR, not straight away anyway.
But I don't think you're ever going to get it. That's the thing. I think they may be like, oh, it's got Kinect functionality.
Yeah.
It may have got VR, but no one's actually going to go, right, it's time. I don't mean like Rise of Nightmares, which Sega made for Kinect or anything like that. I mean proper games that, tie into VR. I don't think anyone wants to do that. I don't think they see it as a financial investment.
It's too much money to dedicate a big franchise to a VR headset. Even, like you say, with AR, it can be an additive feature, as much as it's extra development time. But with VR, you are dedicating an entire development cycle to a product that requires an additional peripheral.
Yeah.
Whereas with, like you say, with HoloLens, you say, right, well, like with Kinect, you can put these codes in, you can put like extra commands in so people can put the stuff all around the TV. You don't have to sell a different game. With VR, you're selling a completely different game that requires a separate, over £100, quite clearly.
Yeah.
And
I reckon over £200.
Yeah,
I think 250. Yeah.
I think some I don't know how much Morphe is going to cost, but I doubt it's going to be.
I think 250.
It's going to be probably the same cost of a console. I thought.
Yeah.
But it has to. The amount of tech going into it is, you got to make money off of it. It's got to be massive. Jim, are there any questions? Any final questions before we look to wrap this thing up?
Someone's asking if it's time to buy a 4K telly. I would say no.
I mean, if you've got loads of money, you should. They're amazing, but otherwise...
Not if you're into games. Nothing runs at 4K.
Exactly.
Unless you've got a real high-end PC, and then you can do it. But I really hope, even next gen, like PS5, they stick with 1080p.
Yeah.
Because that was like... At the moment, we're still... Like, these consoles we have struggle 1080p. Like if everything was
and the frame rate to go.
I don't want to go back to 720p or less because it does make a difference. But 1080p is good enough.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think like if you're really into like PC gaming and you want like a 4K TV, fine, and PC gaming will cater for that. But as a console, the next ones stick with 1080p, and then you can get more out of them without having to worry about maintaining 1080, 60, whatever people want. And you'll get the graphical upgrade. You don't have to then also try and struggle with like more resolution as well.
Anything else, Jim? We'll take two more questions.
Two more questions, right? People are dying for us to talk about bloody Dark Souls 3.
Yes.
I don't think... I know, Brett, you can talk about Dark
about
Souls 3. I mean, what, you saw a CGI trailer with a big man in it?
Yeah, I mean...
Although that big man looked very cool.
He did look very
big
cool,
man with no face.
And he was on fire as well.
Yeah. I'm very excited by it, obviously, but again, we didn't really see anything
There
in terms
have been...
of gameplay.
People are seeing it at 3, aren't they? So
Yeah.
there are reports out there already. I don't think any of us know anything about it other than the trailer.
Well, we know now that it's not the last one. For a while, someone said it was the last one, and then Miyazaki came out and said, no, who said that? So it's not the last one.
Because I wrote a feature before E3 kicked off saying about what I want from Dark Souls 3.
The last one.
Yeah, I want it to be the last one, no more. But I hope that Bloodborne did have an effect on development in terms of they sort of quicken up combat a little bit. Still keep that to and fro.
Isn't that what people thought was going to happen at E3? Bloodborne DLC.
Well, they can announce that at Gamescom, though. That's a Gamescom announcement.
But then it's
for me.
the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing that if it's saying it is coming this year, which I think if it doesn't come this year, where is it? Like it's been too long. That's the kind of thing they could have gone, and it just makes up for the fact they haven't got much else.
Yeah, because Microsoft did a lot of stuff when they announced it, and it's available now as well. Which you said before in the podcast, that's what they're very good at, is saying, right, here's an announcement. Oh, by the way, you can go and get it now. Sony didn't do any of that. Like I said, it was even further. So maybe Gamescom could be one where here's Bloodborne DLC, you can get it next week. That might be something.
But Dark Souls 3, I mean, it'd be more Dark Souls, really. I presume, from what I could tell from that trailer.
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
it looks really good.
It's going to be Dark Souls 2, isn't it?
Well, yeah,
Dark
exactly,
Souls
with
2,
an extra one on it.
Yeah.
Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 2 plus
Dark Souls 2
1.
plus 1.
Yeah. 4 minus
What are
1.
you expecting? I mean, just really amused because somebody has asked me repeatedly, saying, Jim, I saw your reaction to Shenmue 3. That wasn't me. Saw your reaction to Shenmue 3. What's so special about Shenmue? And it's like, do I need to explain why that's
I see where he's coming. I see where he's coming from.
Jim?
No, but I see where he's coming from because if you're of a certain generation, you probably have no clue. But also, Shenmue escaped me entirely. Entirely. I never played the first one. Never played the second one.
Yeah.
But with that said, I understand why it's such a big deal because A, it didn't wrap itself up at all, so no one actually knew where this stuff, thing they'd invested time in was going to go. But B, it did have a very, very loyal and very, very strong fan base. It always has done. So I understand why people are going, what? But I also understand why people are going, yes.
Surely they have to bring out Shenmue and Shenmue 2 as a sort of collection on PlayStation.
Up to Sega, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Sega got any money.
Own it, so... I mean,
Sony
Sega
would do the same thing they did with 3. Give them the money, you do it. And
well, if I
put
was
it on
Sega,
I
would just get those HD collections out, which apparently were done.
Really?
That was the rumor that
Right.
Shenmue was, at least on like last gen anyway, there was an HD version ready. I don't know why if that was real or not, but I'd get those out soon.
Exactly, and just make all that money. Because again, I think I was just too young to sort of play it and appreciate. Because I remember my uncle playing Shenmue, and he was like so into it, like you say, encapsulated by whatever it was that it was offering and stuff. But I never really got into it. But I'd like to be able to, but I can't go into Shenmue 3.
Do you know what I do think? Like the Final Fantasy VII remake, I think it's just it's going to really suffer from the. I mean, Burns actually wrote an article about this. Wrote a feature last year, basically saying that the time is not going to be kind to it. And when
the
it does
gameplay
come
mechanics,
out, when it does come out, the expectation level is going to be so mismatched with what it actually is. It's going to kill it.
They're saying about like Final Fantasy VII, sorry, the remake. People were saying they're going to have to change like the combat mechanics as well because they just don't.
They have to change a lot of it
There's
nowadays.
people already complaining about that because the art style was too different.
Final Fantasy VII is going to be nothing like
this
the original, which is fine because Final
it's
Fantasy VII
good.
isn't. It shouldn't be like the original.
No.
The fact that they are, this isn't just a remaster. This is a proper. We've gone in and it's new. It's a new game that happens to follow the same events as Final Fantasy VII. But
they said what remade? Isn't that what flashed up on the screen? Remade.
Yeah, remake.
Like it's not just like the original game in a new engine. It is the new that idea made again.
And that's what I want. Like I said, I never played Final Fantasy VII because when it came out, I didn't have money to have all the consoles, so I had a Nintendo machine.
It was rubbish.
But it was rubbish as well. And that thing about Aerosstein was pathetic. But I've never played it, but I don't want to go back and play it now. A, 'cause I don't have the time, and B, because of things that have moved on. So they do remake it. I'd much rather they said it's inspired from that, and yeah, it's going to tell the story. But we've done all this new stuff as well. People go, well, it's not going to have the same sense of humour. It shouldn't have the same sense of humour. That's been done. That exists. You can go and play that right now. Exactly.
I really hope it's totally different.
Yeah, me too.
I really hope as well it doesn't have bloody random encounters. And I know that's a hot.
It won't.
No, it shouldn't do.
That's not a modern RPG mechanic.
Exactly.
Because that's frankly killed it for me. I tried to play it about 10 years ago, and even then I was like, no.
Yeah, I tried last year and I got so frustrated because the problem is as well is that in the old Final Fantasy games was if you didn't spend enough time grinding on the way to a boss,
you were dead. You got screwed
because of manual saves as well. That was it, and you're stuck in that. You're just so knackered.
Right, one more question, Jim.
Just before we go, Namil Yaram has pointed out that things we are saying are subjective opinions. So thanks for that observation.
I like that person. You're all right. Good man. He gets it.
Tom Campbell, how much longer do you think remasters will be a thing?
Forever now.
They didn't announce. Well, Dishonored is coming. Isn't
They got Dishonored, and you got there was something else. What was the other remaster they announced? There was
Gears.
2 Gears, of course, it's right there. Gears. But so it's not bad. 2 out of a whole conference. I'm sure there are other ones.
Final Fantasy VII isn't a remaster.
That's a remake.
It's a remake.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Gears
slightly
is coming
different.
out. Sorry, God of War as well. We've got coming out.
They didn't talk about that, did they?
No.
I think Sony's if you look at what Gears of War to me looks like a bigger, more impressive remaster than God of War. Feels like it's just God of War at a high resolution, which is pretty much what they did with like The Last of Us. No, Last of Us looked a bit better.
To be fair,
but it was essentially that they didn't do much.
God of War looked stunning as well, whereas Gears came out with the Xbox 360.
But I just like the idea of with God of War, I could play that on my PS4. I want to play that game again. I don't want to whip out my PS3 or anything else, so I can just play it on my new machine, and that's what I like. That's why I've got no problem with remasters. I think that publishers have become smart now. Don't talk about them in your conferences. Just release them as and when. But I think you'll get them forever now. Even when we're on PS5, you'll be getting PS4 remasters and stuff. So.
All right, we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, we may as well.
Right.
Why not? Well, thank you very much for joining us. Like I say, there is loads of E3 stuff, both on VideoGamer.com and VideoGamerTV on YouTube. So let's playlists and keep reading it, keep sharing it, keep looking at it. Anyone else want to sign up with any E3 thoughts or facts?
I think follow VG Tomo on Twitter.
Fucking hell, he's obsessed. Well, we'll do it now. Jim, what's his Twitter handle?
Everyone follows Jim already.
It's too. I don't like reading that.
That's why you
All
need
right,
to have
Jim
a
doesn't want to read
good
out.
Twitter handle like me.
VG Tomo, Simon Miller 316, and Invertebrate.
Yeah, don't
The
write
worst
it.
Twitter handle of all time. Absolute rubbish.
There's no point following it.
Thanks very much for watching this
Right,
podcast.
thanks very much.
And
That was the score. That was the truth.
don't nick my catchphrases. Your huss. Bring down the huss. Or whatever you say. I don't know what it is. I don't know what he says. He's got his stuff.